Marcus Jensen's head throbbed as consciousness slowly returned. The first thing he noticed wasn't the cold metal beneath his body or the strange humming in the air. It was the smell. Like ozone mixed with something sweet and alien, completely unlike anything he'd encountered in his years as a mechanical engineer. His fingers twitched, instinctively seeking the familiar comfort of his tools. Instead, they found smooth, unnaturally warm metal. The restraints around his wrists pulsed with a faint energy that made his skin tingle. Marcus forced his eyes open, blinking against the strange, purple-tinted light that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. The cell, if that's what it was, defied everything he knew about engineering. The walls appeared to breathe, expanding and contracting in an almost organic rhythm. Circuits that looked more like glowing veins ran through the surfaces, creating patterns that shifted and changed as he watched. Well, he muttered to himself, this definitely isn't the garage anymore. The last thing he remembered was working late at his shop, trying to fix a particularly stubborn quantum engine. Then, nothing. A soft whoosh caught his attention. Part of the wall simply ceased to exist, creating a doorway where moments before there had been only smooth metal. Through it stepped something that made Marcus question his sanity. The alien was tall, easily 7 feet, with iridescent scales that shifted color like oil on water. Its uniform seemed to be made of living metal, flowing and adjusting with each movement. But what struck Marcus most were its eyes, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, each one a swirling galaxy of silver and violet. "You are awake," it said, its voice a harmonic blend of tones that somehow formed perfect English. "I am Keeper Nyxis." Marcus swallowed hard. If this is about that quantum engine I was modifying, I swear I had all the proper permits. The alien's head tilted at an impossible angle. "You manipulated quantum technology without assistance." "Well, yeah, it's kind of my thing. Machines just make sense to me." Something changed in those alien eyes. Was that surprise? Fear? Before Marcus could analyze it further, Nyxis moved closer, each step utterly silent despite its size. "Show me," it commanded, waving a hand. The restraints disappeared, and a small device floated into the cell, something clearly broken, its internal lights flickering erratically. Marcus hesitated only a moment before his engineer's instincts took over. He reached for the device, and as soon as his fingers touched it, he knew exactly what was wrong. Without thinking, he began to adjust, twist, and manipulate the components with practiced ease. The device hummed to life, its lights steady and strong. When Marcus looked up, he found Nyxis staring at him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. "Impossible," the alien whispered. "The prophecy was true. You are a Mechborn." Nyxis paced the cell, their scaled form catching and refracting the purple light in hypnotic patterns. Marcus watched, still holding the repaired device, as the alien's 3 eyes flickered with rapid calculations. "You truly don't understand what you are, do you?" Nyxis's harmonious voice held an edge of wonder. "Your species believes itself to be primitive in cosmic terms, yet here you are, manipulating quantum matrices through pure instinct." Marcus set the device down carefully. "Look, I'm just good with machines, always have been. My dad used to say I could fix anything I touched, even as a kid." "Your father," Nyxis stopped packing. "Were there others in your genetic line with similar abilities?" A memory flashed through Marcus's mind, his grandmother's workshop, filled with impossible inventions that worked despite breaking every known law of physics. The authorities had confiscated everything after her disappearance. "My grandmother," he admitted, "but she vanished when I was 10. Everyone said she went crazy, started talking about hidden technologies and ancient secrets." Nyxis's scales rippled with intense colors. She wasn't crazy, she was awakening. Before Marcus could ask what that meant, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. The walls pulsed with urgent red light, and Nyxis's form tensed visibly. "They're coming," the alien muttered. "Too soon, far too soon." "Who's coming?" Marcus stood, instinctively backing away from the door. "What's happening?" Nyxis turned to him, all 3 eyes focusing with laser intensity. "The Harvesters. They seek those like you, the Mechborn. They believe your abilities are a key to unlocking something ancient, something buried beneath Earth's surface long before your kind evolved." "Buried? What are you talking about?" "Your planet was not always yours," Nyxis explained quickly, moving to a panel in the wall. "Earth was once home to a civilization far beyond your comprehension. They left behind technologies, entire cities hidden beneath your oceans, your mountains, your deserts. The harvesters believe the Mechborn can activate these relics. The panel under Nyxus's touch came alive, displaying holographic symbols that made Marcus's head spin. Yet somehow, deep in his mind, he felt he could almost understand them. "I was assigned to study you," Nyxus continued, fingers dancing across the controls, "to determine if you were truly what we sought, but the harvesters," the alien's voice hardened. "They care nothing for study. They will tear your mind apart to access your abilities." A distant explosion rocked the facility. Marcus stumbled, catching himself against the wall. "So what now? You hand me over." Nyxus turned to him, and for the first time Marcus saw something remarkably human in those alien eyes: conflict, concern, and finally determination. "No," Nyxus said firmly. "I am sworn to protect knowledge, to preserve and understand. What they plan is an abomination." The alien's uniform shifted, revealing what looked like advanced weaponry. "I'm getting you out of here." Another explosion, closer this time. The walls trembled, and Marcus could hear strange, scraping sounds in the distance, like metal being torn apart by enormous claws. "Why help me?" Marcus asked, even as Nyxus began preparing what looked like some kind of portal. "Because your grandmother was right," Nyxus replied, checking readings on a holographic display. "There are secrets hidden on Earth, technologies that could change or destroy entire civilizations. The harvesters would use them for conquest, but you—" The alien's eyes fixed on him. "You repair, you understand, you create. That makes you far more valuable alive and free." The portal hummed to life, creating a swirling vortex of energy that made Marcus's skin tingle. He could feel it, not just physically but somehow deeper, as if the machine was calling to him, inviting him to understand its mysteries. "Time to go," Nyxus announced, just as the sounds of destruction grew dangerously close. "Your journey to understanding begins now, Mechborn. Are you ready?" Marcus looked at the portal, then at his hands that had always known how to fix things, to make them better. Perhaps it was time to learn why. "Ready as I'll ever be," he said, and stepped toward his destiny. The portal's energy washed over Marcus like a wave of electric ice. When his vision cleared, he found himself in what appeared to be an enormous underground chamber. The ceiling arched hundreds of feet overhead, its surface covered in the same living metal technology he'd seen in his cell, but ancient, some areas darkened with age. Nyxus materialized beside him, weapons at ready. "Welcome to what your people call the Mariana Trench, though this," the alien gestured at the vast chamber, "exists far deeper than any human has ever explored." Marcus stared in awe. The chamber stretched into darkness, but he could make out massive structures that defied explanation. Geometric shapes that seemed to float without support, pillars of light that bent in impossible ways, and machinery that hummed with familiar yet alien energy. "This is one of the ancient cities," Nyxus explained, moving forward cautiously. "Built by the precursors before your species had even mastered fire." Marcus followed, his fingers itching to touch every piece of technology they passed. Each machine seemed to call to him, whispering secrets in a language he almost understood. "Why can I feel them? The machines, it's like they're alive." "Because in a way, they are." Nyxus stopped at what appeared to be a control interface. "The precursors didn't just build machines, they grew them, merged organic and mechanical in ways your science can't yet comprehend. The Mechborn carry a fragment of that understanding in their genetic code." A distant boom echoed through the chamber. Nyxus's scales rippled with alarm. "The harvesters, they've traced the portal's signature." Marcus reached for the control interface instinctively. The moment his fingers touched it, information flooded his mind, not in words or pictures, but in pure mechanical understanding. "There's a defense system. I can feel how to activate it." "Impossible," Nyxus breathed. "These systems have been dormant for millennia. No one has been able to." Marcus's hands moved on their own, sliding across the ancient controls. The chamber came alive around them. Lights blazed to full power, revealing the true scale of the underwater city. Massive defensive turrets emerged from hidden compartments, their designs both beautiful and terrifying. "How are you doing this?" Nyxus demanded, all three eyes wide with astonishment. "I don't know," Marcus admitted, his hands still moving. "It's like when I fix engines, I can feel what's wrong, what needs to happen. This is the same, just bigger." A holographic display materialized, showing multiple red signatures approaching their location. The harvesters had brought an army. "They're coming through their own portals," Nyxus announced grimly. "We need to move. There's something you need to see before they—" The alien's words cut off as a section of the chamber wall exploded inward. Water should have flooded in, but some kind of energy field held it back. Through the breach stepped creatures that made Marcus's blood run cold. The harvesters were like walking nightmares. Their bodies were a twisted fusion of organic and mechanical parts, but nothing like the elegant integration of the precursor technology. They looked like they'd been torn apart and put back together wrong, their forms bristling with weapons and scanning equipment. "The Mechborn," their voices grated in unison, the sound like metal being tortured. "Give us the Mechborn." Nyxus raised their weapons. "Marcus, the central core, run, I'll hold them." But Marcus wasn't listening. His attention had locked onto the harvesters' bodies. In their twisted fusion of flesh and machine, he saw something familiar, something that sparked a memory of his grandmother's last words. "They're changing them, Marcus, turning them into monsters. Don't let them." Understanding hit him like a physical blow. "They're human," he whispered. "They were human once, weren't they?" Nyxus's silence was answer enough. "Failed attempts," the alien finally said. "Humans they tried to force into awakening the Mechborn abilities. This is what happens when you try to artificially create what must develop naturally." The harvesters advanced, their movements jerky and wrong. Marcus looked at them, these twisted remnants of humanity, and felt something new awaken inside him. Not just the ability to understand machines, but a deeper calling, a need to fix what had been broken. He stepped forward, ignoring Nyxus's shout of warning. The ancient city's technology sang around him, and for the first time he truly listened to its song. The ancient city's systems flowed through Marcus like electricity through a circuit. Each connection, each pulse of energy became clearer, forming a vast network in his mind. The harvesters advanced, their weaponry charging with deadly intent, but Marcus barely noticed. He was too absorbed in what the city was telling him. "Your grandmother," one of the harvesters spoke, its voice a grinding amalgamation of human and machine. "She almost succeeded, almost understood. Join us, complete her work." Marcus's hands moved across the air, interfacing with systems that responded to his mere presence. "What did you do to her?" "We improved her," another harvester rasped, "as we will improve you." Nyxus moved to stand beside Marcus, weapons still trained on the harvesters. "They're lying. Your grandmother escaped them. That's why they want you so badly. She was the first to reject their improvements and survive." The revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. His grandmother wasn't crazy, wasn't dead. She was out there somewhere, fighting these things. The thought crystallized something in his mind, and suddenly the city's systems snapped into perfect clarity. "I understand now," he whispered. The precursor technology wasn't just responding to him, it was teaching him. Every machine, every circuit, carried memories encoded in its very structure. He could see the truth of what the harvesters really were: failed attempts to force evolution, to corrupt the natural development of human potential. "Nyxus," he said calmly, even as the harvesters raised their weapons. "Remember how I fixed that device in my cell?" "Yes," the alien responded, tension evident in their harmonious voice. "I think," Marcus smiled, "I can fix them too." Before anyone could react, Marcus thrust his hands forward. The city's power surged through him, not as a weapon, but as a tool. Beams of pure energy, soft and golden rather than harsh and destructive, lanced out from his fingers, enveloping the nearest harvester. The creature screamed, but the sound changed, became more human as the energy worked through its systems. Marcus could feel every twisted connection, every forced merger of flesh and machine. And like any broken machine, he knew exactly how to repair it. "Impossible!" One of the other harvesters shrieked, backing away as their companion's form began to shift and change. The golden energy faded. Where a monster had stood moments before, a human man collapsed to his knees, gasping. The mechanical components that had been grafted to his body lay scattered around him, inert and harmless. "How?" Nyxus breathed, all three eyes wide with astonishment. "The precursors didn't build weapons," Marcus explained, the knowledge flowing through him from the city itself. "They were healers, creators. All this technology, it was meant to preserve life, to help species evolve naturally. The harvesters perverted it, tried to force evolution through violence." The remaining harvesters opened fire. Nyxus dove for cover, but Marcus stood his ground. The city's defenses activated automatically, shields of pure energy deflecting the attacks. He reached out again, golden light flowing from his hands. "Your grandmother," one of the harvesters called out desperately. "She leads the resistance. She will destroy everything we've built." Marcus paused, the energy still crackling around his fingers. "Good," he said, and released the power. The chamber filled with golden light as Marcus channeled the city's healing energy. One by one, the harvesters fell, their twisted forms reverting to human. But he could feel more coming through their portals, an army of corrupted humans determined to either capture or destroy him. "Marcus," Nyxus called out urgently. "The city is detecting massive energy signatures. They're bringing in something big." The floor trembled beneath them. Marcus helped one of the newly restored humans to their feet, noting how they stared at their hands in wonder, as if seeing them for the first time in years. "We need to find my grandmother," he said, turning to Nyxus. "She's been fighting them all this time. She'll know what they're really planning." "The central core," Nyxus nodded toward a massive doorway that had begun to glow with ancient symbols. "It contains records, communication systems. If she's out there, we might be able to find her." Another tremor shook the chamber, stronger this time. Whatever the harvesters were bringing, it was getting closer. Marcus looked at the restored humans, then at Nyxus, and finally at his own hands, hands that could now heal instead of just repair. "Lead the way," he said. "It's time to finish what my grandmother started." The central core of the ancient city towered before them, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with deep blue light. As Marcus approached, the crystalline walls seemed to ripple like water, responding to his presence. The rescued humans had taken shelter in a protected chamber, but their haunted eyes followed his every move. "The heart of precursor knowledge," Nyxus explained, their scales shifting to match the blue glow. "Few have ever accessed its depths. Even my people, with all our technological advancement, could only scratch the surface." Marcus placed his hand against the crystal. Information flooded his consciousness, not in words or images, but in pure understanding. "They weren't just builders," he whispered. "They were guardians. They seeded worlds with potential, then watched over their development." A holographic display materialized around them, showing Earth's history from a perspective that made Marcus's head spin. He saw the precursors arriving on a young Earth, establishing their cities and planting the seeds of what would become humanity. The Mechborn ability, he realized. It wasn't an accident. They encoded it into human DNA, meant for it to emerge naturally over thousands of generations. "Which is why the Harvester's forced evolution creates only monsters," Nyxus added grimly. The aliens' weapons hummed as another tremor shook the chamber. "They're trying to take in centuries of development in mere moments." Suddenly, the holographic display shifted, showing recent events. Marcus saw his grandmother, younger than he remembered, working in a secret laboratory. She was surrounded by precursor technology, her hands moving with the same natural understanding he now possessed. "There," Nyxus pointed to a sequence of symbols flowing beside the image. "Coordinates. She's in another precursor city beneath the Antarctic ice." Before Marcus could respond, a new tremor rocked the city, stronger than any before. The crystal walls vibrated with warning frequencies. Above them, something massive was approaching through the ocean depths. Marcus, one of the restored humans, called out, her voice still rough from years as a harvester. "That sound, it's the Leviathan." "The what?" "Their ultimate weapon," she explained, fear evident in her eyes. "A living city, twisted and corrupted into a weapon. They've spent decades building it, forcing precursor technology to serve their will." As if in response to her words, the ceiling of the chamber cracked. Water began to seep through the ancient barriers, and through the gaps, Marcus caught glimpses of something that defied comprehension. A vast shape moved above them, mechanical tentacles the size of buildings writhing against the ocean's pressure. "The Leviathan consumes," another former harvester spoke up. "Technology, biological matter, energy, it absorbs everything into itself, growing stronger. They meant to use it to digest entire cities, to force evolution on a massive scale." Marcus reached deeper into the city systems, trying to understand what they faced. The Leviathan's presence felt wrong, like a corrupted version of the healing energy he now wielded. It was precursor technology turned against its purpose, forced to destroy instead of create. We need to get to Antarctica, he said firmly. My grandmother found something there, something they're afraid of. That's why they built this thing, to stop her before she could use it. Nyxis moved to a control panel, their fingers dancing across the symbols. There's a network of transport gates connecting the old cities, if we can reach the nearest node. The ceiling gave way. A mechanical tentacle, crackling with corrupted energy, smashed through the ancient barriers. The city's defenses responded automatically, golden energy meeting sickly green power in a spectacular clash. Marcus stood his ground, channeling the city's pure energy through his body. The Leviathan's tentacle recoiled as if burned, but he could feel the massive construct's awareness turning toward him. It sensed what he was, what he could do, and it hungered. Your grandmother, Nyxis called out urgently. She left a message in the data core. The key is in the ice. The evolution they fear isn't technological, it's consciousness itself. Another tentacle crashed through, then another. The chamber's defenses were failing. Marcus looked at the former harvesters, at Nyxis, and at the writhing mechanical nightmare above them. His grandmother had found something in Antarctica, something about the true purpose of human evolution. He reached out with his power, not to attack but to understand. The Leviathan's corrupted systems screamed in his mind, a cacophony of forced connections and twisted purpose. But beneath the corruption, he felt something else, a spark of the same pure energy that flowed through him. I can't heal that thing, he realized. It's too big, too far gone, but maybe that's not what we're supposed to do. Maybe we're not meant to fight technology with technology. Nyxis's hands flew across the controls. Transport gate powering up, but we'll need to break through the Leviathan's interference. Marcus smiled, an echo of his grandmother's determination in his expression. Then let's show them what natural evolution can really do.